I ended up inviting Dancehall Gal to see Josh's play, Are We Here Yet? Because I knew my weave gal friend wouldn't appreciate it, or, more accurately, because I was ashamed of her. Josh had told me some of the inspiration for his play one day at work. He's sitting across from me, I'm clacking away on my black Toshiba laptop. I ask him, where did he get the ideas for the play? He tells me Al Kaggs wrote a book, a collection of stories from the Mau Mau freedom fighters during the emergency in 1952 Kenya. The room is yet to be placarded with cover art from some of the books Kwani has published. I have yet to get my white MacBook after I return from surgery. On my Toshiba laptop is a sticker for Gass's shop. Josh tells me at the detention camps the colonials raped African women with bottles. I remember I read this 2 or 3 more times in different places before I remember this fact. I met up with Dancehall Gal. She's looking gorgeous in a blue and black skirt, sexy heels. We were running late and catch the tail end of the musical performance that precedes Josh's play. The performers are playing African instruments, djembe and that 3 or 4 stringed instrument that looks like a simple harp. It's played at a good-looking university. The plot involves 2 Mau Mau freedom fighters. When Mau Mau insurrection began in large organization, the European settler colonial government declared a state of emergency in 1952. The play shows the lives of 2 Mau Mau freedom fighters in the forest, and it is set in the present day. Ha. The 2 fighters have received numerous letters from their general declaring the war is over. They have achieved independence for Kenya in 1963, but the 2 fighters believe this is to be a ruse by the colonials. They also fear the curse of the Mau Mau, that is, if you go back on your recruitment oath by not fulfilling your duty to fight, you'll be cursed. It's a little ridiculous. Their gun is rusted, one of them is afraid of frogs, later one invents a bone gun. They became fighters and take the oath of the Mau Mau after one of the fighters' love interests, his fiancée, was killed by the Home Guard. I think she was a relative of the other fighter. She had refused to disclose the location of her revolutionary father. The Home Guard were Africans that collaborated with the colonial government, perhaps because they opted for the nonviolent approach, or maybe they, relatively, benefited from the colonial setup, or perhaps because they wanted to protect their families. Much of the fighting during the emergency was between Kikuyu ethnic group that occupied the highlands, the region closest to the centralized colonial power in Nairobi. There were, however, precedents and outbursts from many other tribes, the Pokots in the Kaloa Affray, for example, who composed the group Dini Sambwa. And even during the emergency, different races, ethnic groups fought in various ways, legal, martial, political, and economic, against the colonials. The 2 take the oath. The first mission from their general is to kill the Smiths, the family of the servants, burn down the house. Then after the patriarch has witnessed it all, they are to kill him. They storm the house of the white settler. They are about to execute the settler, who of course has kids, and he cannot do it. He flees into the forest, and they are there until the present day. The man with the murdered lover, he doesn't want to go down memory lane with his fellow soldier. His fellow soldier encourages him to remember why they are fighting, why they continue to occupy the forest. They vacillate, unable to remember the past, and then when confronted with it, they flee from the memories, each using the fear of the curse or their shame to keep them trapped in the forest, cut off from their future. They rehearse the past, they rehearse the oathing, they rehearse their orders, they rehearse their failure to carry them out. The punchline. They are interrupted by a group of African-American tourists led by a white man. Proof they are free. They make to attack them, but then allow them to escape. And they decide that the war is not over. They stay in the forest. My favorite parts of the play are the dance dream sequences and the songs. The dream, the lights change a dull red, and there's a shambling and scary dancing. The songs are in Kikuyu language. After the play, there's a Q&A. There's a lot of tension because most of the leaders in Kenya, except the tyrannical minority accidental leader when founding father Mzee Jomo, I am Kenya, Kenyatta, dies. Except Moi, they are Kikuyu. The national project was abandoned in favor of ethnic land grabbing. People got assassinated, ethnic alliances were made, along the same lines that were legalized under the colonial Kipande system that assigned tribe. This is referred to by Kenyan writers and academics as the hijacking of the national project. The Kikuyus were next in line as they had the administrative roles under the colonial system. But Cactus tells me, even Kikuyu, there are still dirt poor Kikuyu. It's really about class. Wealthy Kikuyus, wealthy whatevers. The ruling class complies with what Ngugi would call the transition of Kenya from a colony with British interests being dominant to a neo-colony with doors open to wider imperialist interests from Japan to America. Nowadays, through a program of economic instead of direct military intervention, China is providing an alternative to the lending-looting of Euro-America. I doubt either superpower has the African continent's best interests at heart. During the Q&A, a woman with an African accent, open values, ethnicizing this clean colonial space, takes Josh to task for including the songs in Gikuyu language. Many of the Mau Mau are Kikuyu, is his defense, and Gikuyu traditions sections are followed immediately by translation into English. After the play, I see a white guy, which stands out. There are whites in the audience, but he is among the players. I think he was the play director, or the director of theater. When I see him, I make a mental note. I must tone down my knowledge of other Mzungu, and not make an effort to talk to him. Pantomime had been introduced by British expatriates in Jamaica in the 1940s. Boasting costumes the measure of anything found in London's West End, the Jamaica replica featured such anachronisms as Puss in Boots, Cinderella, the Widow Twankey. Fellow black people starred in pantomime. A few black people starred in pantomime. If they did appear, then it was part of a ubiquitous chorus, recalled Goudon. But then a local poet and dramatist, Louise Benet, began complicating the old model by introducing African folklore, stories of Anansi the spider god, and nation language, dialect, into the stockpile of pantomime narratives. This watering of the wine of tradition caused a flutter in the stalls among some shocked connoisseurs. As a young reporter, Goudon remembered interviewing a board member of the theater, a white lady, who told her frankly that she had stopped being associated with pantomime when they started giving leading roles to market women. But I don't know. The white guy was potentially supporting Josh's Mau Mau play. Josh is from Nakuru, as is Binya. I suspect and sense that some of the other Kwani people are too, but never ask. With the independence, more and more graduates joined schools and universities, and there was a gradual revolt, although it was still largely confined to the four walls of the school, the social hall, the university premises, and also to the boundaries of the English language. The revolt of this African petty bourgeoisie in the area theater had roots in the 50s with Alliance High School, Thika, Mangu, Kagumo, and other prominent schools, producing a counter-Shakespeare and G.B. Shaw tradition with their own scripts in Swahili. At Alliance School, there were Nakupenda Lakini, Maisha Ninini, Nimelogwa Nisiwe na Mapenzi, Atakiwa na Polisi, which all ended with performances at Menengai Social Hall Nakuru, the heartland of Silverdome.